Hey everybody, it is Jordy from Seven Eagle Group. We are back today with another really great story. Just so grateful to have this guy on today. He spent a long career with the U.S. Air Force in special operations. He was a senior intel analyst, team lead. After getting out, he went to Stanford and did a host of really cool jobs. We're going to get into those today. And he is currently a federal account executive at SKYDIO, big drone company. So out of Draper, Utah, Peyton Knippel. Welcome, buddy.
Hey, Jordy. Thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it. It's a lot.
Hey,
That's a lot of stuff.
yeah. Hey, thank you, man, for taking some time today to share your story with our audience and offer some advice, some guidance for some of the men and women coming behind you. We really appreciate you doing this.
Of course, yeah.
So let's get into it, man. Did you grow up in Utah? Where are you from?
No, I grew up in Ohio. I'm a big Ohio State fan. I never went to Ohio State. Yeah, go Buckeyes. And then joined the Air Force before my senior year even started. So signed up for delayed enlistment program, DEP, and went to basic training. For basic training, went to be a TAC-P. Did that for the vast majority of my career, both in the conventional side as a TAC-P and when I was an instructor. And then I went to the AFSOC side of that. And then my mom got pretty severe dementia. I was on a deployment, came back from a mission, had a message that my mom was walking to Texas from Ohio.
Oh my God.
So I had to make a decision to get a little bit closer to the East Coast because I was on the west side of the country. So I went active duty Air National Guard, and that's when I did the intel, all source intel analyst stuff. Actually, so I technically retired out of the Guard as an active duty guardsman. And that was during, I got my DoD skills bridge from a SOCOM Care Coalition. Mm-hmm. So I did my skills bridge here in Utah, and right around when I was getting ready to retire is when COVID kicked off and they shut the country down. Fortunately, and it's probably where all this kind of ties into play, I had a really good transition despite COVID, despite all the uncertainty. And I think it's kind of continued to trend that way, I suppose.
Yeah. Did you say before your senior year you decided to join the Air Force?
Yeah, so like this summer, like not crazy, like the summer before my senior year.
Yeah, are you from a military family or?
Yeah, so I think it's back there somewhere. I actually can trace my direct military lineage back to General Mahone from the Confederate Army.
Oh my God. You're like, was that Forrest Gump where the guy, we fought and died in every war?
Yeah, pretty much. Wow. My namesake is actually Sir Peyton Randolph, which is the first president of the First Continental Congress. But more relevantly, Civil War basically we've got a name on the Vietnam Memorial. My father was a fighter pilot. His brother was in the military. And so I've kind of always known I wanted to join the military.
You always knew from a young age that was your path.
Yeah.
Why the Air Force? Because your dad flew too?
No, actually, I was. This is going to ruin your podcast, Jordy. I don't make really great decisions, as in they're not very thought out. I really like golf, man. And I was a caddy from the age of 12, and I worked in the pro shop at our country club growing up as a kid. And my recruiter found out that I like golf, so he took me to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. He's like, and there's a golf course on base. He's like, I'm like, there's golf courses on Air Force Base? He's like, yeah. I'm like, okay then. That sounds great. I'll golf. I didn't golf once while I was in the Air Force. But so that's kind of how I made the decision to join the Air Force over all the things. And I thought I was smart, but I wasn't smart. Yeah. I mean, I didn't know anything about basic training. I thought you went from basic training to your unit.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything.
It's so
So
funny how like a little thing like that, the guy takes you golfing one day, and then you decide to join the Air Force, and here
yeah,
20 years later or whatever.
yeah, classic story. My mom had to sign the papers for me so I could, be committed to the Air Force before my senior year even started, which made my life great because I was a terrible student,
You didn't have
and
to worry about
I didn't have to
college.
worry about anything. My
Yeah.
friends were just freaking out, and I was like, I got 4 classes, dude.
We're going to no beaches
Uh,
in Columbia in Ohio to go to, but
no,
that's you probably had
yeah,
a
it was good. So
fun senior year, I bet.
it wasn't bad. I've
It
had
was
worse.
a lot
Um,
of golf.
but
Oh,
yeah,
that's,
so a lot of golf actually.
yeah.
So yeah,
What? So you did? Was it? Is my math right? About 11 plus years
I
in
did
service?
21.
21. Okay.
Yeah,
Your
I'm an
LinkedIn only showed
old fat
11.
retiree, man.
Good for you. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I did 21.
What? So talk a little bit about your transition. You mentioned that you did SkillBridge. Did you have any idea what you wanted to do when you were leaving?
So this is where I guess it gets interesting more. Maybe I don't know. So joining the Air National Guard was a really unique experience because I've been a TAC my whole life, calling airstrikes, and I don't think if I joined the Guard, if I hadn't joined the Guard, I don't think I would have committed the time that I did to my transition, right? Because also when I joined the Guard, I knew that I was not staying in past 20 or as close to 20 as I could to get out. I would be getting out.
Mhm.
So having that kind of understanding helped me know, hey, my next step is actually retirement, and it let me know that earlier maybe than most guys. And I was actually having a conversation with a friend last night, and she asked kind of the same question. And I don't think I was burdened necessarily with uh, having to be an operator all the time anymore, right?
Mhm.
I didn't. There was no team I was letting down per se by not like going on the next TDY, going on the next deployment. I didn't have to kind of to to invoke the Ranger Creed here a little bit, carry my share of the load and then some. It wasn't as strenuous in that capacity in the Air National Guard per se. So I was able to kind of reallocate my brain bites to something else. And so I knew about 3 years out that I was going to retire.
Mhm.
My wife had also she'd been diagnosed with cancer.
Oh,
She's good now. We're solid. She's
good.
awesome. We have a 2-year-old son, so we're all set there. But at the same, so priority shifting with all those things. I was like, I'm out, and we wanted to move back to Utah, where my wife is from.
Mhm.
So that's how I ended up here in Utah. But yeah,
Gotcha.
so I had like a 3-year plan that I
Yeah, yeah.
executed fairly aggressively. And basically, I took a standard. I got like a marker on my finger. Um, I took the standard op order that we all understand, operations order that most of us use or are familiar with, planning process, and I wrote an operations order truly on how to get out of the military. I had appendices, I had min force requirements. Everyone asked me if I still have it, and I don't. I can't find it anywhere. I wish I did. It honestly, it wasn't that sexy either. It was just like it was a an outline for a Word document is what it really boiled down to. But basically, using that, I identified kind of from a backwards planning timeline process what I needed to execute by when, if I wanted my outcome to be a job offer no later than 60 days before retirement. So if that was my kind of good idea, like, or my final benchmark, my Exfil, as it were, what I needed to do. So I built that backwards planning timeline process. That's kind of how I executed my exit strategy,
Mhm.
essentially. So if
That's
that
pretty
helps.
good. I mean, you had a lot going on. It sounds like on the home front. I'm glad your wife is okay. Um,
Same.
but at the same time of dealing with all that and your transition, you sounds like you were super organized and you really thought it through and sort of planning 3 years ahead of time. That's really unheard of. We don't
I
see
actually
that.
think that's the sweet spot, man. If guys can and guys
Yeah.
and gals can figure it out, I think 3 years is the sweet spot. 2 years, like, you're probably still comfortable. Anything
Yeah.
inside that, you're getting really kind of awkward. When you start thinking about skills bridge, most folks, if they're enlisted, I say most, that's not really a fair statement. If folks don't have their degree or the degree they need lined up or the certification they need lined up, there's a bunch of stuff they've got to hit gate-wise, and that's what the backwards planning timeline process was.
Yeah.
To help me understand where I needed to hit these things. And then I coupled that with some transition programs besides just skills bridge. The major one for me personally at the time was a program called the Honor Foundation.
Yep.
Nice. If you're familiar, they did an amazing job, and they took a big chance on me. I was the first TAC-P that they put through their program, that they accepted into the program, and I wasn't even a TAC-P at the time. I was an Intel dork. But because I had some legacy stink on me, they said, and I seemed not completely unmotivated and undisciplined, they took a chance. And I really, coupled with my plan and the tools that they provided, that I think that really set me up for success.
Yeah. And then, all right, so you do your skill bridge with Honor Foundation, and then
those are two separate but parallel, like mutually supportive parallel things. So skills bridge was the job, the internship. The Honor Foundation was basically a transition fellowship program.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah, so two different parallel but mutually supportive efforts.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. And then, so talk a little bbit about SKYDIO. Like, how'd you end up there, and what was that like getting hired at
oh man, that's cool. Yeah, it's pretty neat, honestly, and it goes back to the Honor Foundation. It's networking, honestly, and it's not networking to extract something from someone. It's networking to provide value.
Yeah.
Right. And I think, and this is a gross generalization, this is purely anecdotal. I think, as we're in the military or we're in these very structured and siloed spaces, we don't take the time or recognize the need to kind of really open up our aperture and network beyond ourselves. And, that was one of the big eye openers for me with the Honor Foundation, is how critical the network was. And what I rapidly learned, because there's a bit of networking or potentially that feels disingenuous, like you're just going to someone to get something from them. So you feel very like selfish, and we don't like that.
Yep.
Right. No one wants to feel that way. But like what I rapidly understood or started to connect the dot on was that everyone is where they are because many someone's helped them get there. Right. And most people, by and large, principle of charity, they want to do the exact same thing for other people.
Yep.
Okay. And so when I and it wasn't a revelation, just when I connected that dot for myself, because I have a tiny little brain, I was like, oh, this is great. And I really started to really value my network and understand the good it can do, not just for me, but more importantly for others. I mean, you saw me posting about my buddy Trevor Bradford today, right? Right, one of the greatest Americans I know, 3 Bronze Stars of Valor within 3 weeks of the invasion of Iraq. Incredible enlisted leader. If I can use my network to help that dude, you better believe I'm going to do that. Like he is an exceptional resource, an exceptional value add to any organization. So if I can do that, then great. That's what my network's for, right? But so I learned that, and then going back to the SKYDIO question, network. A buddy had been approached, and they're like, "Hey man, we'd like to talk to you about SKYDIO." And he's like, "I'm not ready yet, but I know a guy who is." And they sent them to me. And around that time, I've been looking to transition out of Panasonic, and it worked out incredibly. And I got to come over to SKYDIO, and now I'm responsible to all of the business growth and sales for the Big Blue Air Force vertical.
That's awesome.
I never thought I'd do the DoD, never thought I'd do defense, definitely never thought I'd do sales. But it's It's been amazing. It's been incredible.
Well, I love the fact that you came across the strategies behind networking, and I what you said is completely correct. Like most people don't understand like networking. That word is thrown around a lot when people are looking for jobs, and they just assume it's like, hey, you guys hiring? Here's my resume, and they assume that's networking. And I
I
love
have
the
some.
fact that you look out. Networking goes both ways. It's a two-way street. You're looking for opportunities. How can I help somebody in my network? Just like you posted today about Trevor, your buddy. Um, that stuff goes a long way. I mean, for one, it's a great thing to do. You're not doing it for an ulterior motive. You're doing it because you want to add value. And I'm sure when you connected with SKYDIO, your buddy who introduced you, he only recommended you because you had built trust and credibility with him in some level, I would assume, right?
And what do you know? About 3 days ago, an organization reached out to me. They and they're like, "Hey, do you know anyone that would be a great fit for this?" And I was like, "As a matter of fact, I do." And the same buddy that reached out to me and enabled my success here at Skydio, I'm hoping that I enable his success
Yeah.
at this other company.
Oh, that's great. That's
You
awesome.
know, and you mentioned the networking piece and the resume aspect of it. I got some tough news for folks. Like nobody cares you're in the military. Like, and I don't mean that in a negative way. Like, why should they? If they don't know what value you bring, right?
Right.
It's very challenging to just apply your resume to a website and hope for the best. And
Right.
it's I mean the success rate of that is like zero. um, you know, I when I got to L3 Harris, my first job out of the military, the my boss, you know, when I got hired, is like there were like 5,000 applications for this job. People don't realize on when they're submitting to a company's website how many other people are doing it, so to speak. So to kind of win, you need to have a good network.
No doubt.
That is it, man. Like I don't know a single person who got a meaningful job that provides value and a good quality of life for them as they define it without a strong
Right.
network. That's the way it is.
No doubt. From the business owner standpoint, it is so much easier and safer to hire when you're asking, hey, anyone know anyone good for this position, as opposed to imagine being on the receiving end of those 5,000 resumes at L3.
I
Like,
mean,
who in
how
the
can you do
world?
that?
How do you
How can you do that?
possibly pick somebody out of those pieces of paper? How do you do that as opposed to
Right.
just taking a recommendation from somebody you trust, who you respect, and that just carries so much more weight. Talk if you can, Peyton. We reach a lot of business owners too. Watch this.
Okay.
What would you say to them about why hiring military is a smart move for their companies? Like, what does that veteran bring to the team that is going to help that company grow and excel?
That's a man. It's actually kind of a tough question sometimes, right? Because you want to
Yeah.
really nail it. You know, and I'll preface it with this statement. I got a job at L3 Harris as a product manager. I never truly managed a product in my life. I got a job at Panasonic as the lead of business development for Panasonic's federal team. Guess what I've never done per se, business development. Now SKYDIO, I'm the federal executive account manager for the Air Force. Have I ever truly done like sales where I'm taking POs and doing it? Like, no, I haven't. So A, that tells you I'm not qualified for anything, right? Or B, what it tells you is from a military standpoint, our ability to rapidly kind of insert ourselves into an environment and identify the skills that we actually need aside from like this, we call it, you know, the soft skills, right? Identify the actual things you have to do, like, you know, administrative wise. That's a really quick uptake for us. So you take our planning and our execution and our ability to generally, as a rule of thumb, take feedback or to iterate a process, I don't think anyone does it better. Like every company has a process or processes, or they are processed into, paralysis. I think people in the military may not feel this way as they're in the military. Our processes, how we actually approach problems, how we actually solve problems, how we actually evaluate success or failure of a problem, then iterate through that and then restart again. I think it's hands down. I really do, because we exercise it constantly in the military. And you take, once again, the ability to insert yourself into environment, a foreign environment, a new job, rapidly uptake the skills that you need, couple that with your leadership and your just general intelligence, and then bring alongside all of the tools you've been using your entire career. Because that's what I think a lot of folks aren't aware of, is that they can bring those tools with them.
Yeah.
You can literally take those planning processes, those ideas, and bring them into the organization. Doesn't mean you're going to show up today and say, okay, here's the OODA loop, here's the MDMP process. You're not going to say that per se, but your understanding of how to execute those things makes you a really rapid value add to any group. I would argue that maybe an HR, a personnel in the Army is not ideally suited for electrical engineering. So, there's a balance there, right? Like you can't kind of go off the rails. But that's what I think makes military veterans special and unique organizations. And also, by and large, we don't like to sit still. We have a very hard time taking it easy. It's okay, it's okay to relax and calm down sometimes, but we have a very task-oriented, mission accomplishment, objective realization kind of mindset. And I hate to say this because there's a ton of brilliant people, and I'm not maligning anyone. We just seem to work a little bit harder sometimes. And that is a purely subjective statement that is probably incorrect on my part.
I would agree with that one.
Not
with every candidate, but I think in general, the average military.
Yeah, those are general statements, right?
Yeah.
Funnily enough, and actually, it's really not that. Maybe it's not that funny. After I got in the wreck, when I got hit 2 weeks ago, and I pulled over the side of the road, and my boss called. And I still answered. I wouldn't recommend it, but I was like, I gotta answer this call, and I had a concussion, so that probably didn't help either. But I think we're just dedicated to the team and mission success, right? No one wants to let the team down. No one wants to see the team fail.
Yeah.
And I think we have a very strong connection to that.
Yeah. Peyton was in a car accident a couple weeks ago. I'm glad you're okay, and it was a concussion.
Me too. I forgot that was not a known detail. Yeah.
But glad that had to be scary.
Good.
But that was all well said. I love how you described all those benefits and that strong foundation that the military candidate brings with him or her to an organization, regardless of what they did in the military. Everyone has, I feel, that those strong character traits that,
I think so.
Give me a job, I'll get it done and figure it out. What advice would you have for transitioning service members who sort of unsure what they want to do? They know they're getting out, their time is winding down. Maybe they don't.
When we say getting out, time winding down, can give me a left and right limit on that statement.
Oh, I'm sorry. So somebody who is either served 4 years and contracts up, or somebody who's retiring, but maybe they were doing something in the military and they don't want to keep doing that in their post-military career. What advice would you have for them to find their path? Like what are some things or strategies they can do to try to determine what would be next? What would be a good next career?
So I'll say this in two ways. First way is it's real easy to get out of the military. It's about as easy to get out as it was to get in. You show up and say, I want to go, or you say, I want to leave. It doesn't take a lot of effort necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
But if you put forth the effort, you get a really great career out of it, or a really great period of service out of it. And people always ask me how retirement is. I'm like, man, the greatest thing I ever did besides joining the military was retire, because it's the best. I love being retired, because I think, for me personally, the way I define it, it's been a good experience. But the reason it's been a good experience is because I put the level of effort that I needed to put into my transition.
Yeah.
And that was not easy. It was stressful. It was unpleasant. It was not this 3-year road just sprinkled with success the whole time. It was sleepless nights. It was sitting in bed just working on resumes. It was bugging my wife the whole time. It was hard until the day it wasn't, because I was successful at that point. So I want people to realize you get out of your retirement or your separation what you put into the effort you made for it, right? If you think people just want me because I'm a veteran, I just say veteran on the job application, I'm going right at the top and they're going to hire me. That's false. It's just not going to happen. And you're going to feel unwanted and uncared for. And you're going to look back at your military and think, that was the greatest time of my life. Nothing could be better. I disagree. It is simply a great period of my life. And this is phenomenal because my 2-year-old son's downstairs, my wife's downstairs, I'm working from home, I have an amazing job, an amazing place. It's awesome, right? So you get out of your retirement or separation what you put into it. Secondly, the earlier you can identify that you're ready to get out, great.
Yeah.
And I would socialize that to your leadership as well. Not in a rude or jerk kind of way. Just share your plans with them so they understand what your focus is. Still be a member of the team. It's not you checking out, but it's so you guys can align yourselves that you're working towards mission goals, but you also have this other thing you're working towards as well. And then find the organizations that are going to help you to go into that period of self-discovery. So like the Honor Foundation and the mentors that I got from the Honor Foundation, whatever that transition program is for you, right? Find it, because it's going to help you on that path of self-discovery. And, to coin Simon Sinek, to help you find your why, to help you understand what you actually enjoy and how you can bring value and how you can feel a sense of purpose. Those programs, and some people are great autodidactic. They can just kind of figure that out on their own. They already know it. I wasn't that clear on it. And so having these programs that are designed to help you seek that out and define that, to build your network and to coach you. Like, I mean, you're in job placement, right?
Yep.
Like you help people find jobs. And part of that is coaching them and helping them understand like what that job rec is actually saying. Are you actually suited for that? Or did you not realize how suited you are for this opportunity?
Right.
There's a lot of that. So find an organization or find a set of mentors or find something that's going to help that self-discovery, because that was vital to my experience.
Yeah. And to not to do it alone too. A lot of people try to, they feel awkward asking for help.
Yeah, you got to, and I like, in this case, because I care sincerely about veterans and transitions. It's like a hobby / second full-time job for me at this point, right? I mean, I got a call after this with a buddy who's got questions, and I had a call 2 days ago, and like I'm taking calls all the time, trying to like at least talk guys through this process, because it's important to me, because I don't want people to have an experience where they retire or separate and like, this is the worst, I can't find a job. Like, I want the opposite, because I love the way I feel. And I want other people to feel that way, because then you can build that network of people that are going to continuously help other folks out. So, yeah.
What talk? That's all great advice. Talk a little bit about SKYDIO. Give a little plug. What do you guys do? I mean, it's an amazing company.
Yeah. So SKYDIO is, I think I have it right here actually. So this is their, class 1 drone. And basically, and this is me as a sales guy, not an engineer. So if any SKYDIO engineers are watching, I apologize. But bottom line, SKYDIO is a class 1 drone. It has, and I know everyone says their company's the best and they have the best product. Like, legitimately, that is the case for SKYDIO.
What's class 1? What does that mean, class 1?
This is a small size, like kind of how people understand like their hobbyist size drones, like portable, lightweight, it's 3 pounds, right? But they have world-class AI in that little robot that reduces the cognitive load of the operator. When I say reduces the cognitive load, it means you're not spending the whole day driving on the controller the vehicle. You can basically set it up to execute the mission. It's AI coupled with its obstacle avoidance, collision avoidance, those aspects of it, to be, in speaking in general sense, enable the operator to launch the vehicle. The vehicle executes the mission with its autonomy engine, freeing you up from the sticks, ingesting the information while you're still able to do your actual job, right? So you're not just glued to that. You can set it up, launch it, say, go look here, do that, and it's going to go do it. And it can operate in GPS denied environments. So we have quite a few, like 300 plus of them in Ukraine right now. Basically you can say, go do the thing. It's going to go do the thing. And because of the AI, like the nerd brain inside of it, that's doing an insane amount of computations all the time, it's rendering its own environment. It's rendering the environment as it flies. So it's like building it out in its head, essentially.
That is awesome.
Which is amazing. Yeah. And so you say, go do the thing. And then you're over here. It's like, come back. And because it's been able to build its own environment, it can come back to you safely. And like, it just, from the battlefield perspective for ISR, so intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, it does infrastructure inspection. I think that's actually the cooler part of this. Yeah. Its ability to fly into tight spaces, to do real property inspections, to do aircraft skin inspections, to assess battle damage on runways or vehicle mishaps. It does 3D modeling. So I was actually going to fly it and 3D model my house today, just for fun. And it provides this host of capabilities that are kind of multi-use for the vehicle. Yeah. So it's not just like, oh, that's my ISR robot. Yeah. Or that's my aircraft inspection robot. It's a multi-use capability too. And it's so simple to fly. It really,
it's not like I got 3 of them drones stuck in trees around my house here. It's not, even I could fly it then, huh?
So for example, my father-in-law is a civil engineer. My father-in-law is a civil engineer, and we're looking at buying a new house right now. And I had the drone with me yesterday. He's like, "Can you check the roof out?" I was like, "Yeah, I can check the roof out." And because of the obstacle avoidance on the vehicle, I was like, "Brett, I'm going to try and crash into the house." And I just pushed the stick forward, and it just started climbing the slope of the roof.
That's great.
Without like as opposed to like, and as long as like there's a reasonable or decent amount of lighting and contrast, it's going to avoid trees, obstacles up to like a 1/2 inch in diameter. It's going to avoid. People are doing it for bridge inspections, for power line inspections, for cell phone tower inspections. Flying an indoor warehouse inventory use cases. It's a brilliant little machine, man.
That's awesome.
And it just keeps getting better and better too. It really is. It is literally the best in its class. In fact,
Peyton, I can't thank you enough, man. You were a wealth of great information today. I think it's going to help a lot of people, man. I truly appreciate you and what you do for this community. I could tell you care deeply about your brothers and sisters, and I love getting to meet people like you and hear your stories and all your suggestions and advice for them. So thank you for that, man. Hopefully you you can still hit the links in your retirement and get out there and eat some of those great golf courses out there.
Yeah, the house we're looking at is on a golf course right now, so that's hopefully it works out.
What do you think of what do you think of Live in the PGA?
Man, I love it so much. If we had more time, I love it so much, and not because I care about Live versus the PGA. I just love it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect.
And your next career, that's chapter 3 for you. We'll get you out on that court.
Yeah, if someone wants to hire me as the VP of sales for TaylorMade or Titleist, let's go.
Let's do it. Hey, buddy, thank you so much, man. I appreciate this, and thanks again.
Thank you so much, Jordy. Appreciate it.
Take care.
Cheers.